Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the SLK Special Edition in multiplayer for the, I don't know what time, but this time it is at a very fun to drive rank. And this is probably one of the best tunes for the car. So the rank is 1513, the tuning is 5550, and in Pro Kits, 5555. So Nitro is at 0. It's max pro'd besides that. Elite tuning is 8800 or all in acceleration and top speed. So let's get to our first race, which is on Barcelona against an Apollo Intensa Emozione, an R8 SE, and another SLK SE. You don't see many of these around this rank, but in this video I did see a few. So even with the car accelerating practically as fast as it possibly can because of the maxed acceleration all the way up in elite tuning, and pro'd out drivetrain and exhaust, it still does not start out extremely quick at the beginning. However, once its secondary acceleration kicks in, once it gets going to like 100, 200 miles per hour, that's when it starts going, and it gets up to its speed quite a bit quicker than it would at lower ranks with lower acceleration. We've already passed the IE, who wrecked a little bit back there, and now we are catching up to the Audi R8 SE, and passing him on the very first lap. So even on a one-lap race in Barcelona, I am facing the two most overpowered cars at this rank, besides the SLK, and I've gotten past them before the first lap is even over. So yeah, even if this was just a one-lap race, I would still win. Now all I have to do is not make a mistake on the second lap, and the race is good. That's one cool thing about the SLK. If you have a fairly long and straight track, and you don't make mistakes, you don't have to worry about anybody catching up to you, because nobody's faster, literally. So we beat that Apollo, who was 63 rank above us, as well as a slightly lower R8 e-tron Special Edition. Now, this race shows what happens when you get knocked down at the beginning of a race, which unfortunately happens quite often in this car. Even though its acceleration is the best that it can be, pretty much everything still accelerates faster. That shows you really how slow this car accelerates. Even though it is quite fun to drive with this tuning, acceleration handling being all the way maxed out, it is still difficult to drive, and you have to get used to the horrible nitro efficiency. So this car's main problem is, well, its acceleration is pretty bad, that's one of the main ones, but also its nitro efficiency being really bad gives it problems on tracks where there isn't a lot of nitro, because the thing is, this car only really accelerates when you have a good amount of nitro, and since it doesn't accelerate all that fast, you have to get a good amount of nitro to accelerate. Therefore, if you are stuck in a situation where you are going at a slow speed, like I am now, and you don't have much nitro to get back up to speed, you're staying at that low speed until you can get some more nitro. So that's why it's important to get as much nitro as you can, even if it sacrifices some speed to get it. Now, of course, don't go up a barrel roll like super high and lose 100 miles per hour. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying go slightly longer ways to pick up more nitro than you might in other cars. Trust me, in the long run it is worth it, because if you get in a bind, if you hit a wall too hard, you will be able to get back up to your speed. So we have passed the Camaro in this race quite a while back, and now we are catching up quite quickly to the MP425 up here. This race really shows the catch-up power of the SLK, and why, if it's 2 laps, you don't have to be especially wary of getting knocked down at the beginning. Now, if it's a 1-lap race, getting knocked down at the beginning might be a bit of a problem if it is not on a quite long track. That's why you always pick 3 laps in this car, because what that will do is it will force 2 laps, like 90% of the time. And just like that, we have passed the MP425, even with a few problems on the first lap. So this car is definitely still not dead, and I honestly don't think this car will ever completely die before the end of Asphalt 8, unless they bring out some car that has even faster top speed than this one, which I honestly do not think is going to happen, unless they make an SLK Special Edition. Wow, that MP425 was 100 rank above us. Throughout this video, because I'm free racing and can't risk points, this SLK gets quite bad matchmaking in quite a few races. Now, you will see, however, that it does not fear bad matchmaking, and it really doesn't matter what matchmaking you get, and in this car, it really does not matter a whole lot whether or not you risk points, because its speed is better than literally anything else, and if you get good tracks for it, such as Barcelona or Tokyo or something like that, you can beat anything pretty much. It is best to take the right route there in Nevada if you are in a car that number 1 does not drift the greatest and number 2 does not accelerate very fast at all. Now with this tune, the SLK actually drifts pretty well, better than the Ninja bike without handling upgrades actually, which by the way I'm going to make a video about soon at rank 1677. But anyway, back to that turn. Even though this car does not have bad drifting, it still has pretty bad acceleration. And the thing is, if you take the left route, you have so many turns that you have to get around, and while getting around the turns might not be a problem, you will lose so much speed going around them and not be able to get up to speed between them that you will just get slower and slower and slower. See, going that right route, you can keep up your speed because there is only one real big turn. There's a couple curves, but other than that, really nothing. So when you are driving a car like the SLK, you really have to go some different routes than you would in pretty much any other car. And then the car skidded randomly, and I wrecked on the side. That is extremely weird because this car does not usually skid, and yet stuff like that just occasionally happens for no apparent reason. And that is kind of annoying because we are now all the way back into third place, behind an Apollo and an R8 SE. Do you think I can catch up to either of them or both of them? We will see. So the Apollo in this race is at a rank of 1634, which is 0505, 5050, and it goes approximately, let's say, 15 miles per hour slower than this SLK. And it's a full 100 rank higher. You see why the SLK does not need to fear matchmaking, and even with a knockdown at the beginning of this race, as well as a wreck, we are still catching up to this Apollo IE fairly quickly. He has a little bit of a slowdown in the tunnel, and thus we go through this section and fall just ahead of him, coming into second position. Even after, remember, a knockdown and a wreck. And Nevada is not the greatest track for the SLK either. Fairly good, but not the greatest. We also beat a Cigaris and a Vanda, but we got beat by a 1534 Audi R8 e-tron Special Edition. I will be testing the R8 e-tron Special Edition around this rank as well as the M2 Special Edition also around rank 1530, coming up sometime in the near future. So in this race, we come across another SLK. Now, I did not realize this at the beginning of the race, but you will see later in the race that there is a car going the same speed as me, maybe even slightly faster. And you actually see him right behind me right now. He was at a rank of 1568 or something like that, so a bit higher than me. I have no idea what his tune is, but it was very fast. However, you will see how an SLK with just slightly higher speed does against an SLK with very good acceleration handling. So that's something I'd like to talk about. A lot of people wonder, mostly those who do not do much multiplayer tuning, why I would tune the SLK this way. Why would I max nitro and handling when speed is so important? Well, the thing is, adding nitro gives it like 5 miles per hour of speed by adding 170 rank increase or whatever. And this car hardly ever actually gets up to its maximum speed. So you're much better off maxing acceleration handling, being able to get around turns well and not lose 100 miles per hour or whatever by hitting the side, and being able to get maybe slightly better chance of not getting knocked down at the beginning, and being able to accelerate faster around turns. Adding nitro would negate all of that and would practically do nothing since you hardly ever get to your maximum speed. That's why maxing acceleration handling on the SLK is a very good idea. So here we beat this 1568 SLK, who was nearly 2300 ranked. If you're wondering why my rating is so high, nearly 2400, I recorded some of these races at the end of the previous season and some in the current season. So that is why there is a huge difference in my rating. And these races are not entirely in order nor sequential. I had so many races against just noobs because the problem is when you run a car such as this one, I mean, the car doesn't matter, but when you're at a rank below 1600 and you have a rating well above 2000, it becomes extremely difficult to actually find people to race against because the game normally tries to pair you with people within 300 of your rating. And at this rank, most people are going to be quite a bit lower than that. So usually what ends up happening is I sit in a room for like a minute, and then I get a bunch of MP48s in Challenger League or something like that, and I don't get much competition. So it turned out that about half the races I played were actually against noobs, and I won by like 30 seconds plus. So yeah, you can see it took me a long time to actually gather the clips for this, because remember, I can only play it 3 times in a session because it's an elite car, and there's a good few races in this video, like I think 9. And if I cut out half because of noob races, that's like 20 races done in this car, which is, what, 7 sessions or something like that? Yeah, it took a while. So we passed the Apollo at approximately the 2nd lap marker, and he was approximately 70 rank above us, and we did beat him by a good bit. And it turns out that we beat him by about 11 seconds. Now for a race on Tokyo Reverse against an Apollo IE mainly. He is 101 ranks above me. But of course, since it is Tokyo Reverse, matchmaking does not matter. Even if I got paired with an Apollo like 200 ranks above me, my SLK would most likely be able to beat him on this track. Also, there was a test done recently where the SLK Special Edition on one-lap Tokyo Reverse beat the new McLaren X2 by about 1 second. So do not fear, SLK SE is still king of Tokyo Reverse. And we can see that in this race too, even with him being 100 rank above us, we are still catching up to him and have almost passed him, just like almost 40 seconds into the race. Here I go to the right and do not even try to knock him down. Generally speaking in multiplayer, if you are in a car that is faster than the car you are passing, it is not generally a good idea to knock that person down, or not even to try, because the thing is, since you're faster than them, if you manage to knock them down, well, it's not really going to do you much good because you would have gotten ahead of them anyway, so it really doesn't have much benefit. Even if you just try to tap them from the back and knock them down, and it doesn't, and you go down to their speed, well, that right there just lost you time. You didn't knock them down, and you could have been ahead by then. So yes, if you're in a car faster than the car you're passing, especially if it's on a track really good for your car, do not even bother trying to knock people down. I would say generally it's not a good idea to knock people down in multiplayer unless you are in a fast accelerating car, and then it is a good idea to try to knock down at the beginning of a race those cars that are faster than you but do not accelerate as fast. I've had far too many occasions where I've tried to knock down somebody and it has just come back to haunt me. So since this was a 2-lap race, let's see how far behind this Apollo is. He did wreck once on the first lap. Okay, so it was just about 15 seconds behind. Now for a race on Barcelona, which is quite interesting and again shows the real catch-up power of this car. So this Zonda knocks me down at the beginning. Yeah, a Zonda of all things. And the car that is way ahead up there, all the way on the other side of these two curves, is an Audi R8 e-tron Special Edition. Do you think I will be able to catch up to him on a 2-lap race on Barcelona? Keep in mind that I am about 30 miles per hour faster than him. Unfortunately here, yeah, I had to go the long way because I figured it was a bit better to fall off and not worry about wrecking and maybe lose a few seconds going the long way than wreck and lose many more seconds. That's the thing, if you're riding along the edge like that, you're pretty much going to wreck if you don't go one way pretty soon. I've had lots of experience with that. At this point, he is nowhere on the map, but I had faith in my SLK since it was a 2-lap race that I probably would be able to catch up to him, seeing as I am 30 miles per hour faster. As you can see, I've already gotten closer to him, and he is now on the map. I bet at this point, he is maybe getting just a little bit flustered about what is this car that is catching up so quickly behind him. However, there isn't much of the race left. At the beginning of the race, I thought it would be a piece of cake to catch up to him, but then I went the long way, and yeah, at this point, I was quite a bit concerned that I was not actually going to be able to beat him. But thankfully, there was just enough room for me to squeeze past him on the left just a couple seconds before the finish line and come in first place. Yes, SLK, very good at catch-up. So we beat him by just 4 frames, but a win is a win, no matter how little it's by. So most of the previous races have had at least one Audi R8 SE or one Apollo IE in them, and those are its 2 main competitors at this rank. However, there are still 2 others, being the Camaro and the M2 SE, which, while not being as competitive against the SLK as those 2 other cars, are still fairly competitive. In this race, we have 2 Camaros against the SLK on Tokyo. So this will be interesting because the Camaro, while having lower speed than the SLK at this rank by around 15 or so miles per hour, it does have better nitro efficiency, which may come into play in the tunnel here because the SLK has the worst nitro efficiency in the game, tying with the Dart and the Holden Coupe and other cars of that kind. So even though I do have to wag, my speed is enough such that the Camaro does not catch up. There's another one, I don't know what happened to him, but this guy back here, I don't know what happened to him either. He was having a bunch of lag back, blinking kind of issues. Must have been some kind of bad connection on his part. One thing I hear a lot that makes me a little upset, I guess, is people always seem to assume that cars that are blinking are hacking because they can't be knocked down. Well, the thing is, most of the time what's happening is they have a bad internet connection. I have witnessed pretty much everybody in streams blinking at one time or another, and I have blinked for other people at one time or another in my streams. So unless they are acting weird in other ways, blinking is by no means a sign of hacking. Just want to clarify that for all of you guys. So in this race, we beat a 1553 Camaro as well as a 1533 one. Now let's move on to our final race, which is on Alps against an M2 Special Edition, which I don't believe we have seen yet. So this will show you how this car does against the M2 Special Edition at this rank on a fairly medium, fairly kind of twisty, kind of straight track. Yeah, Alps is one of the weird tracks that has a lot of different parts of it. Like, it does have long straight parts such as this one, but it does have long sections without nitro, and it does have the twisty part like into the tunnel and lots of jumps onto the bridge. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed track. But we are still catching up to the M2 SE fairly quickly, and the funny thing is, at this rank, even in the SLK, when I am wagging, I am faster than most cars, and just 35 seconds in, we have managed to pass the M2 SE. And because I'm faster than him by 35 miles per hour, since he is the 1530 tune, which I'm going to be testing, that's the maximum speed tune, it goes 290 miles per hour, he's not going to be able to catch up to me. So this car's definitely worth it, and definitely still alive, as you can see from this video, given the right tracks, and 2 laps it can beat pretty much anything at this rank. So thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!